If a small flock of cartoon bluebirds didn't help you get dressed this morning, that just means you haven't yet listened to Fine Tuning with Jim Hill and Drew Taylor. No, the black dress slacks, please. Thank you. And now, Jim Hill.
Welcome to Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm Drew's co-host, entertainment writer Jim Hill, and he and I are recording the show on Thursday, February 21st, which means that Mr. Taylor has no time to waste, because as soon as he finishes recording this episode, Drew must put pedal to the metal. He has to get out of Toluca Lake and get all the way to Anaheim in record time, because you're taking part in Minnie's Moonlight Madness tonight.
I am, yes. I was recruited as a trivia heavyweight, so hopefully I will prove myself worthy of inclusion in this great event, and I'm very excited to run around tethered to three friends and spend all night trying to figure out clues and whatever else.
Now, for those of you who don't know, this is something that was started for Disneyland cast members, eventually went to the East Coast to Disney World cast members, but now is opened up to all parts of the company, right? And it's an after-hours event where, as you mentioned, you're all bungeed together, and one member of the team has to be an active cast member or an employee of the Disney company, and then they can kind of ad-lib for that. And I know that because back in the 90s, I actually did this, 1.5 times when I was living in Florida. One year I did it. We had such a good time. We ended up going the following year, but we brought Alice with us, and we're checking in, and the employee who's checking us in is like, "You can't bring an infant on this thing." We were going to put her to snugly into it, and Michelle argued, "Well, she took part in last year's." It's like, yeah, she was inside your body, not outside your body. And eventually, just that they wouldn't budge on this issue, and so they were going to let the team go forward with just 3 members, but at the meantime, so we wouldn't have to sit out in the cold with Alice in the dark, they were like, all right, we'll take you back to a conference room and you can sit there and watch television. And the whole time, Michelle and I in kind of a rabbit season, duck season, well, you're going to stay with it. No, you're going to stay with it. You know you're going to stay with it. And so they walk us into this conference room, turn on the lights. So this is the conference room filled with all of the concept art for what was then known as Fantasmic Hollywood, the version of Fantasmic that they eventually built out behind the Beauty and the Beast Theater. And then suddenly, both Michelle and I are looking at all of this art and that sort of thing. Well, you're going to go take part in the Minnie's Magic Dinner. No, you. I won the toss and spent 2 hours in the room going over all of the art. And, it was a significantly different take on the whole Fantasmic thing. In fact, it started off with a desert island in the middle of the lagoon. And you had Mickey walk out and he trips over something in the sand. He pulls it out. It's the lamp from Aladdin. He rubs it, and here's the genie. And, what are your wishes, sir? And that's how his imagination got turbocharged. And the one other thing that I remember that was so significantly different about this version, and I want to say it predated Pocahontas by about a year or so. So there was no war canoes. There were no fighting on shore with Ratcliffe and all that. But there was a scene in it where, the arena goes dark, and when it comes back up again, Mickey is on stage seated behind this giant organ, and he's wearing like the half face mask of the Phantom. Then he's playing Toccata and Fugue, and in the water, as he's playing this piece of music, from one side comes, I want to say, like a half-size version of the Nautilus with Nemo and Ned Land on it, and coming in from the other side of the arena is a squid. And they meet in the middle, and, then Ned Land throws a harpoon, and it was just sort of like, I want to see that version of the show, but they never made it.
I've never seen Fantasmic at Disney's Hollywood Studios. That's my confession.
Okay. All right. You're...
Is it worth it?
How about them Red Sox, huh? It's certainly not compared to the version of the show I saw pitched. But again, they're supposedly redoing it for the 50th anniversary, so I guess we'll see. And just be amazing to see how much Frozen they cram into it. And speaking of Frozen.
Oh, what a segue, Jim.
What a segue. Okay. Frozen, the teaser trailer dropped last week while you were away in Mexico City.
Yep.
Inside of 24 hours, 116.4 million people downloaded this thing online to watch it. And somebody at Disney actually has to make up their mind about what they're going to call this movie, because we saw a lot of the press releases referred to Frozen 2 as in numerical 2.
Right. It was just bizarre because it was like Frozen 2 numerical 2, and then in the email Frozen 2 Roman numeral 2. And the hashtag is numerical, so I guess that's what it is all about.
I was talking with somebody at the company, and they were like, they know from a search term, Frozen 2 numerical 2 is the one people really hammered on. But on the other hand, from a branding point of view, it's the Roman numeral logo that you're going to see everywhere.
Right.
Lots of people talked about this trailer, or are still talking about this trailer, compared to the Aladdin teaser trailer that dropped during the Grammys. This thing was gold. I mean, there wasn't a bad shot in it, and people were pulling it apart and trying to determine who the new characters were and the story for it. In fact, and we got a little bit of an assist from Josh Gad. You were talking about what he put out on Twitter about the snowflakes?
Yeah, so if you look at the snowflake, I guess there are 4 symbols that each correspond to the Gregorian calendar's seasons. And the assumption is that now, and this could be why there's so much marketing stuff with those fall leaves. The assumption is now that Elsa can control all of the seasons, that it's not just winter and snow, that she has kind of dominion over everything, which I think is a very cool idea.
I agree. But at the same time, I think what kind of shook people about this trailer is how it started. The whole scene of Elsa standing on the shore, and she's battling these fierce waves and using her magical ice powers to try to escape wherever it is she's trapped. And people are trying to figure, well, what's that all about? And first of all, Drew, are we allowed to talk about this?
I think we can talk about it.
Okay.
We can talk about it. Sure, let's talk about it. So,
all right.
Here we go. If you don't want to know what Frozen 2 is about,
you go.
Skip
all
ahead.
Right.
But if you're there, or if we're all consenting adults listening to the plot of Frozen 2, it is about Anna and Elsa searching for what actually happened to their parents.
And that's, I think, the brilliance of using that scene to kick off the trailer. Because first film, when did you see giant crashing waves? You saw it when the ship was pulled down. I love that literally hiding in plain sight is the clue to what this story is about.
Yeah, they're going to go beyond Arendelle. I thought the trailer was great, and you saw that it was the most viewed animated trailer of all time.
116.4 million people in 24 hours.
Yeah. They're doing more merchandise from the Comfy Princesses from Wreck-It Ralph 2 that they showed off at Toys Fair. And it was really interesting because all the stickers on the boxes said featuring the Disney princesses, and then it was like and then the Frozen logo, Frozen characters. So it was Disney princesses and Frozen characters. They are clearly not ready to lump Anna and Elsa in with that group yet, even though they were in the scene in Ralph Breaks the Internet. But it's sort of an interesting clue as to where the marketing is going. You'll never know what you'll see at Toy Fair as well.
I just sent you the photograph that came out of Toy Fair. Evidently, they had the Toy Story 4 room off the floor, but somebody managed to get a photo into the room while the door was open. And in the foreground, you can see Bunny and Ducky in plush form. But then behind them, up on the wall, is a character we haven't seen in the trailers, we haven't seen anywhere. It's a guy on a motorcycle. In fact, we're in a white outfit, wearing a helmet, handlebar mustache, and on the front of his motorcycle is what looks like a red Canadian maple leaf.
Yeah. That is Duke Kaboom. That is the Keanu Reeves character, who we can't really talk about yet, but who is my favorite character of Toy Story 4 without having seen a second of actual footage. But yeah, that's the character. He looks like a daredevil of sorts, and yeah.
Just this past week on Good Morning America, we had Annie Potts show up, and she showed a clip from Toy Story 4 that is clearly from the footage. It's some sort of flashback set back in Andy's room, and they sketch out very quickly that the RC Racer character that we saw the finale of the first film somehow has been left outside, and this sudden storm is come up, and there's heavy rain, and it looks like he's in the side yard, and potentially going to be swept down the gutter and possibly be lost in the sewer. Suddenly we're in the bedroom, and here's Woody and Bo Peep acting as a team to decisively sort of rally the troops and go get ready to rescue RC. And for 3 movies, well, actually 2, I mean, the Bo was off the canvas by the time we got to Toy Story 3. This was a character that was made of porcelain who tended to sort of tend the home fires while other characters were off having adventures. And are they going to really successfully be able to reposition her as kind of a badass who leads adventures? Or
I mean, that's certainly the intent.
Mm-hmm.
We got the names of her sheep.
Mm-hmm.
I was very into that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see a flashback too that doesn't have any kind of like profound emotional resonance like Jesse's song or the story the clown tells in part 3. This was just kind of a funny little thing. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that I guess they're setting up her transformation into this badass, because all the images we've seen of her too, she's got pants on, or bloomers, and she's got an entirely different look. So it was interesting to see them reestablish the old Bo Peep maybe before they reintroduce her in this new movie.
I guess that's the thing. We're going to have to see this stuff in context and see if it works. And it's Pixar. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. This was not a planned trilogy. This was, we made the first one and, people are interested. Okay, we're going to make a sequel. And then 10 years later, it's like, oh, hey, let's make another sequel. I just don't want this to be them going back to the well once too often and spoiling how we feel about, the earlier 3 films, because a bad sequel can do that. But before we get into tearing down a movie we haven't seen yet, let's talk about a movie we have seen, and that's a short, Kit Bull, the 3rd now of the Spark shorts that's been released from Pixar.
Yeah, what a great short it was.
The one thing about this, and again, I think it's kind of the same flaw that Smash and Grab had, it's just a little too long.
At least we know why they were only showing 3 of them at the LCAP.
This is true. Added a half hour to the running time of The Little Mermaid. This was written and directed by Rosanna Sullivan, produced by Catherine Hendrickson, and I honestly wish this had been the first short released online rather than Pearl. I mean, I wonderfully observed cat and dog, realistic animal behaviors filtered through a cartoon filter. Love how the relationship, evolved for the two. Also, great art direction.
Yeah, it looked beautiful.
Yeah. And as a new dog owner, did you recognize any of the behaviors?
Yes. I mean, not to spoil the short, but it is revealed that the dog is sort of used for fighting. Mm-hmm. It's a pit bull. And I thought it was brave of them to show animal abuse in a short film that is aimed towards children. And it was really beautiful to see how people reacted to the dog and what the dog really was, on the inside. And having a little dog from Korea, from the Korean meat market, I definitely loved seeing that side of things. So
I was just today talking with my parents about Nova, and Nova had been at your house how long when I first got to meet her?
Oh, she was brand new.
Okay. Yeah, to show up at your engagement party and who is this mellow, sweet dog working the room? And it's like, no, it's Nova. And it's like, I mean, the fact that you and Katie were able to do that, to put the time in and this traumatized animal and just turn it into a sweetheart. I mean, just an amazing thing.
Well, you know how fun working from home can be, Jim. So
this is true. On the other hand, see, I have 2 cats, and it is frankly, they bury the needle complete. There is such contempt. It's like, when are you going out? Please get out of the house. Oh, I want nothing for you. Get out. Speaking of, well, I don't know if trauma is the right word, but
yeah,
John Lasseter continues to be having a tough time over at Skydance. Just last week or thereabouts, they brought in Holly Edmond, is that correct, to be the new president of production under John?
Yeah, and if you read between the lines, she was there to keep an eye on him, basically. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And I think also, in a way, to send a message to the community that, that we're going to have a good, strong female hand in the production sphere. And then, what is it, 2 days, 3 days later, Emma Thompson announces that she's stepping away from Skydance's Luck movie. That she
Well, they had never even announced her as being in the cast, and I think it was leaked by Hollywood Reporter. But yeah, she had decided she was going to be the head of the Good Luck division in this movie. I guess this movie is about sort of bad luck versus good luck.
What's interesting about Thompson doing this is that if you take a step back, 10 years, she was there at Pixar. In fact, she voiced Eleanor for Brave. Is that correct?
Yeah, and she knew what happened back then. So it's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know, Jim, you can run down what happened on Brave.
Brave was basically about Brenda's relationship with her own daughter, sort of filtered through this piece of Scottish folklore. And it was a very difficult production. In fact, to the point Brenda was forced off, removed, stepped away. It depends on who you talk to.
I think the word is fired. Yeah.
I mean, what euphemism. And Mark Andrews steps in and finishes. It's a good, polished film, but at the same time, in a lot of ways, this is what sort of started the perception, or at least outside of Emeryville, that Pixar was a difficult place for women to work. And boy, did that then get confirmed by what happened with John last year. But here's the thing I don't understand, Drew. Just before we start recording, yet another story breaks about Skydance, about how they were supposed to be sponsoring the Lightbox Expo, and a lot of folks in the industry contacted Lightbox and said they were really uncomfortable for this, largely because of Lasseter. And so Lightbox actually sort of disinvited Skydance as a sponsor. The other story coming out of Skydance is they've been inundated with applications and demo reels and that sort of thing, because so many people supposedly now want to work at this animation studio because John Lasseter is there. So what's the truth here?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything firsthand, but yeah, it's a really interesting kind of like clash of ideology and culture, and I don't know. I don't know what to think or what to make of all this. Any guidance any of you have, please let us know.
No. I think that the one thing that sort of strikes me about this whole situation is I think in years to come, when people are talking about the wrong way to return to work, they're going to talk about John Lasseter and going to Skydance. That, this was too soon. There wasn't enough public penance or whatever it is that needs to be done to turn around the reputation.
Well, and there wasn't enough private penance either, as we've often talked about. As he never apologized to anybody at Pixar.
We're still, it's 2021 before Luck was supposed to drop, right?
Yeah.
So we're still 3 years away from seeing the first post-Pixar film from John Lasseter. And if we get that, there's a lot of people now I've been talking with who were like, I don't know if he's going to last. If you were dealing with this sort of negative press day after day after day after day, and people were nitpicking every single decision you made, how long would you stay? And especially when you are John Lasseter, you have all of your Pixar money, you're still a major shareholder of Disney, and you're more than financially set off. Your children are more than financially set off. Why would you continue to do this?
Well, neither of us has his ego, so I think that's really the thing that is setting us apart, because he's got this kind of pathological need to be out there and be the guy. But we'll see how long it lasts. I don't think it'll ever be his decision to step away. I think it will always come down to some kind of oversight coming down. But Who knows?
Moving on here, folks. We're about to try something new here at Fine Tuning. Just come back after the commercial break, and we'll explain what the new thing is.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with this plight?
Aha!
Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at Canva.com.
And we're back. it's not so much a new thing to every other show on the planet, but it's new to us. It's, I guess, the best way to walk this out, given a lot of folks are betting that on February 24th, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is going to do something extraordinary. It's the first Sony picture animation feature that's going to take home an Oscar. And right behind that is the home video release. Is that correct?
Yes, it's on digital on February 26th, and it's on Blu-ray in March, I think March 19th. So,
are you kidding me? 2 days after the Oscars, it drops digital?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, that's cool. That's very, very smart play on their part.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right, so you just yesterday were at the junket for the home entertainment release for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and got to talk with some obviously some fairly heavy hitters. I mean, first up was the actual the directors, right? Peter Ramsey, Chris Miller, and Phil Lord.
No, Chris Miller and Phil Lord I did not talk to, but I talked to Peter Ramsey, Rod Rothman, who is the co-writer and co-director, and Bob Michetti, who is he's a longtime Disney guy. He was telling me he animated with Andreas Deja on Fantasia 2000, which is one of his first things.
And I was listening to the audio before we get started here today, and you got them to talk about stuff that they wanted to put into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And one of them was actually a reference to the infamous Spider-Man musical, Turn Off the Dark?
Yes. I remember when I did the junket for the movie and I left and I went, oh my God, I didn't ask them about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark because I knew it just felt like something that was in this universe. And they gave me a really great answer and we're going to hear it right now. I think the most important question maybe anybody's ever asked you, is there a Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark reference in this movie? And did you think about it?
I think there was.
Really?
There was.
What was it?
There was. I mean, remember when they were at Aunt May's?
Yeah, we had a scene at Aunt May's before Miles comes running back in after what happened with his family member, with an important family member.
There was another attempt to get Spider-Man the movie.
They were watching that Dimensions Spider-Man movie. They'd made a movie about the real Spider-Man, and then all the Spider people started talking about what who played Spider-Man in their dimension.
Oh, interesting.
And then Peter Parker, Jake Johnson, Peter B. Parker said there was a musical in my dimension, and it was written by Bono, and then everyone laughed, and he was like, "I'm serious. I'm not kidding you guys. I really haven't."
It was the ultimate punchline.
Yeah, but among other things, we found that after a super dramatic moment, you didn't want to then pull out and do like wacky Spider-Man jokes and then go back to a super dramatic moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Have Miles run through
Have
the door.
any of you seen Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark?
I wish.
No.
I wish.
I always wanted to go see the like really flawed one and then come back and see the like rejiggered one. I mean, it would have cost me probably $500.
I'm sure it's awesome.
And money well spent.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's awesome. The people, Julie Taymor.
I know.
I'm sure it's awesome.
But if you read about it, it's like this like psychosexual thing, like
Sounds great.
yeah.
Sounds
I mean,
like
why not?
That's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, mission accomplished.
I
Yeah.
think we did it a little bit better.
Yeah. I want to talk about the this crazy extended viewing experience thing. So, are there sort of every state of animation is represented? I'm assuming in this. From storyboards.
It is, but it's yeah, for sure. But it's not just simply like, oh, here's peeling back the layers of our process. The alt version of the movie is literally, like we had a 3-hour version of this movie. This is a cut of that incorporates as much finished film with it.
Okay.
So like our editors went back in after the fact, after we killed them. They spent a couple more weeks going like, okay, you guys want to do this alt version for the Blu-ray? Okay. And like recut things that have been thrown away for a year and a half, and then we had to like look at the tissue, the connective tissue, and like We
Yeah.
recorded Jake, right?
So you're saying that we recorded a few.
Yeah, we recorded a few lines
Really?
to just make the all things
To
sort
make
of
it
flow.
work, to make it hang together.
Yeah, because we had such a. I mean, there was a very.
There's some radical different.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. You'll
radically
trip
different-
out when you see the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited. I mean,
Yeah.
were there things that were fully
There's
animated?
a scene that's
One
like fully
sequence.
animated. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there anything that you're particularly excited about people seeing in this version?
That one, for
Sure.
sure.
Yeah, you'll see. It's the build. It's we always lovingly called it because it takes place on a billboard. A
billboard.
billboard scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a really fantastic scene between.
It's great.
I was going to say Jake and Shamik.
Yep.
Yes, Jake
It
and
is?
Shamik.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Miles
problem
and
was we
Peter.
called them Jake and Shamik.
Right.
Yeah.
We animated it.
Yeah, and they referred to each other by the wrong name, and we were like, "Oh, we can't redo it." But it really was a scene that, I mean, that's the one that's most emblematic of like this process because that was a scene that we put in different spots in the movie for a very long time because we loved it so much.
And at one time, it had a real definite purpose.
100%, and then that purpose was lost because we accomplished some of that somewhere else, and then we were just hung on like, oh my god, look at the performances, look at the connection, like this. Let's just hang out with them talking because it's so fun and it's
a heart-to-heart.
engaging.
It's a
It's
heart-to-heart.
a real,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's
a
really
heart-to-heart talk.
engaging. But like the movie kept going like, dude, we don't need this. We don't need this. And finally, we took it out, and we were like, I guess we don't need it. But
Right.
now it's in.
Right.
So you get to. But I think
Yeah.
that's the thing we were talking about
Oh.
earlier. That's cool about this is that you're going to see all the things. I think people will recognize why choices were made because you'll see this and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but like it's better without it.
Right.
You know.
And if
It's
you just want to
interesting.
fanboy or fangirl off those two characters, that scene's going to be absolute heaven.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. And it's gorgeous.
Well, obviously. Oh, okay. I was going to say that obviously people can freeze frame things
Yeah.
now. Is there an Easter egg that you're most excited about people discovering?
Yeah, I really, one I really like is Miles' book, his copy of Great Expectations. The image on the front of it is an image from the story of Great Expectations, and it actually visually sets up something that's going to happen to him about 15 minutes later in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Pip in a cemetery with Magwitch grabbing his shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was something that Peter called out after we picked Great Expectations, that I was just like, oh, that, if we could get like 10 more things like this in the movie, then
Yeah.
so,
Right.
It seemed like we planned it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody was thinking about this.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any favorites?
I always say, I just get a kick out of the names on people's favorites lists on their phone.
Okay.
But then the other cool thing is just all the Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to see because I don't know where all of those are.
Yeah.
by a
Yeah,
long
you gotta
shot.
it's a real frame. Like you gotta sit and go click, 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 and you'll see. I mean, we lost count how many times is in there.
Right.
So, yeah. Other than that, cameo wise, it's funny because there's like little tiny things that if you really look like
There's like people on our crew that
Yeah.
only we know who
there's
they
a
are.
bunch
Oh,
of
wow.
there's a bunch of
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people on our crew, including
Yeah.
us in there,
Yeah.
and then but Doc Ock wise, there's a version of Doc Ock that you just see tentacles and grabbers with Gwen. And then there's also one in the very beginning that's not our Doc Ock.
Oh, really?
there's- Yeah. He's just
Yeah.
like if you just like go a little slower, you'll
universe.
I
you'll
can't
see
wait.
it.
But the other, the big thing too on this home video release is there's a new Spider-Ham short film.
You got to talk with the two gentlemen who the director and the producer of this thing, but they also revealed that when they went to go get this thing animated, they picked one of our favorite little animation houses.
So when did development on the short begin in earnest? I mean, was it during production?
No.
Okay.
It was quite close to the end of production.
Okay.
We didn't know that we were going to do this short. I don't think anyone had really thought about doing this or conceived of it until late in the process. So
Okay.
there was not much time for development. We developed for a hot minute.
for 1 minute.
Very hot.
Very hot. Very quick, burning bright. Yeah.
Yes.
So was it a chore to get Mulaney back to do the voice, or did you record that at the? I mean, was he still doing pickups and things, or
No.
Okay.
We had finished recording with him, and so we decided we were going to do this ham short, and Miguel started writing, coming up with ideas, and we're like, oh boy, hope we can get Mulaney.
Yeah.
Hope he'll do this. Because if we don't have him, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And that was sort of the one big, dictate from the executives was, well, we're going to get John, right?
Yeah. And you said, we hope so?
Yeah. We hope so. So we went out to him, and,
Okay.
and he agreed. And we were so thrilled. Thrilled. It was such a relief.
I know this was obviously a very truncated time schedule, but did you actually think about doing it in traditional 2D animation, like hand drawn, or was that never on the table?
Like Cell?
Like Cell, yeah.
This was the closest we could get to that.
Okay.
Just use Titmouse did the animation for our film. Mike Harlow and his team, a lot of them are literally drawing frame by frame of the short, just on computers instead of celluloid.
Right.
But they did a really great job of like trying to mimic that organic quality. Like if you look close in the short, there's even like a little bit of shadow behind the characters, as if it was like actually celluloid.
Yeah.
So we wanted to embrace that as much as we could.
And was the idea to always have it be this kind of prequel to the movie itself, or were there iterations where it was just a completely separate gonzo short?
Well, there weren't a whole lot of iterations.
Oh, really? Yeah.
There was a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
But I think when we first found out that, the idea is, I think Phil said, this should open the film. Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Open the film. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
gee, I guess maybe they should connect.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's where that's kind of just was the natural evolution pretty early on, that we're like, if it's going to open the film, and as it does in the alternate universe mode and on the Blu-ray, it was just natural to be like, let's, maybe we can just through the back door sneakily put a Spider-Ham's Act 1 of his whole arc in the film.
Right.
Like plant these seeds in the short that we see come to fruition.
Right.
In the movie.
You obviously worked on Spider-Ham in the movie as well. Are there any things that we should look out for in this enhanced viewing mode with him, or is this sort of the extent of what we're getting Spider-Ham-wise on this release?
Do you mean there's other extra Ham stuff?
Yeah,
because
it sounds like the movie will be sort of expanded with all the extra stuff put in, right?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
That's a great question.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Okay.
I'm curious myself.
We have not seen the final cut
Right.
about Universal. I think
Clearly no one's getting the
they
Blu-ray.
just well, like everything else, they just finished it.
Right.
Real
5 minutes ago.
The code is all they had. You talked about some of your inspiration for this short. Could you talk about those a little bit more in terms of Duck Amuck? And I mean, obviously, it seems like a lot of classic Looney Tunes and Disney stuff was influenced here. Could you talk a little bit about what those were?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We just, Spider-Verse kind of established Spider-Ham as this very postmodern, self-referential, classic cartoon character, complete with mouths that come out of nowhere, anvils that drop out of the ceiling, literally saying that's all folks. So we just took that seed and we just really, I was obsessed with cartoons growing up like a lot of kids. I just never stopped watching them, I guess. And so this was just an opportunity just to make a loving homage of all of the classic cartoons I love, while at the same time playing with this kind of fourth wall breaking idea that Spider-Ham does so well. And, it's kind of was just a blast to explore all those influences and also just come up with as many puns as you possibly can.
Yeah. And you showed some of the concept art of him throwing the star, that you saw that was left over from the very first designs that you guys did.
Totally.
Was there anything else that didn't make it into the movie but made it into the short?
That's the biggest one, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
But the portal with this hole, that didn't make it into the short.
That didn't make it in the short.
But that was one of his powers that Miguel had explored early on in exploring the movie. But had he been able to do that, he would have been far too powerful. And then there's a collider that brings different dimensions together. So if Ham is jumping through them, how is that going to work?
Right.
It just ultimately made him clearly the strongest and most capable spider person.
This is him taking off his logo and going through it. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So, at a certain point, it's you have to find, in a weird way, your rules.
Right.
What this character can do. Because if he becomes too powerful, then it's just just Spider-Ham. I mean, he's going to save the day.
Right. Well, so what were your what was the internal logic that was governing this character besides not being able to jump through wormholes?
It just was based on just iteration after iteration, like the directors were saying. It's just we did a lot of versions of Ham using the portal. I certainly try to smuggle as many examples of him using the black hole as possible. But, you know, it's just like, we just kind of like learn step by step, throwing it up on the wall, see if, you know, if it's working. And then pretty clearly it was just like, oh, is he going through a portal if he's using that? Like, is he going back to his home world? What's going on here?
Right.
And so that is just immediately, as soon as you throw the audience off a little bit, you're like, okay, let's step back.
Right. Obviously, having a home video release, you're going to be able to sort of go through this movie step by step and frame by frame. Are there any particular Easter eggs that the two of you love and are excited for people to discover on home video?
On the disc?
Yeah.
On the film?
Well, yeah. Yeah, on the main film.
That's a great question. Rodney Rothman, one of the directors on the film, he asked so many people for just like different alt versions of names and institutions you'd find in New York. And being a big comic book nerd myself, I really kind of embraced name checking different comic book famous Spider-Man comic book artists and writers. So if you see stuff like Ramita Raman out there, that was really fun.
Yeah. Anything that you remember or no?
No, I think, I mean, the Times Square, I worked on a Times Square promotion that went on a Jumbotron in Times Square. So I think when the directors are going through all the things in Times Square, it's kind of amazing because you can do quite a deep dive into that, all that signage. Coca Soda, I know that's kind of quite one of the big ones that you can't really miss.
Right.
But that was super fun that when we found out that we could actually do that.
Oh, you did it in Times Square?
We did a Times Square execution, but when we found out we could do it for the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Where would you like to see Spider-Ham go next?
God, I mean,
Saturday morning cartoon. Where do you see him?
I mean, the thing about this character and what I think was kind of fun is that in Into the Spider-Verse we got to see what it would look like if a classic cartoon character were in Miles's much more realistic 3D world, and it worked, and it was kind of amazing that it worked. And so then we took a step back and we said, okay, what does he look like in his world? And it was this 2D cartoony world, and so now we've kind of shown that can lend itself to anything.
Yeah.
I think there could be many more shorts of him. I think it would work great in TV. I think he could have his own feature. I think, and I'd love to see and do all of those things. I think that's kind of, I think we showed that to the world. He belongs everywhere.
Well, now you've got me thinking about Miles coming into his world. That'd
be really fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. It was so nice to get to talk to you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Have a great day.
You too.
There you go. Titmouse, one of our faves, doing some animation. And it's so funny because Sony does so much animation for other people. They did Smallfoot for Warner Brothers. It was an entire movie. But yeah, they could not get this little animated short to happen. But it's really cool. It acts as kind of a prequel to the movie, which I thought was interesting. Just to let you know who that was Miguel Horan, who is the director, and producer David Schulenberg. So they both produced this great short called Caught in a Ham. Are you excited to watch it, Jim?
Spider-Ham character was out of a film that had so many wonderful pieces, so many wonderful characters, that was really sort of the cherry on the sundae. And it's nice to see him get his own short. More to the point, them just sort of talk about what else they could do with this character. So,
do you think that was a success? You tell us.
Well, no, that's it exactly. This is our first time, folks, sort of, bringing in audio from outside interviews. And as we said at the top of the show, Mr. Taylor has places to go this evening. So where else can they find you other than Disney's California Adventure tonight, In the Dark, Bungie, the three other people?
Bungie, yeah. Well, I really want to plug my Mission Impossible podcast, Light the Fuse, because in 3 weeks, we are starting a 3-part episode with Brad Bird, the director of Incredibles, Incredibles 2, Iron Giant, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. It's an amazing conversation. It lasted about 3 hours, and it is awesome. So I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Oh my God, that is such a great get.
Yes.
Holy cow.
We couldn't believe it. So yeah.
Even the non-Brad Bird episodes of Light the Fuse are well worth seeking out. I mean, I love
hope so.
You guys take on the whole Mission Impossible franchise and all that.
Yeah, this week we're doing a thing with the we found the script for Oliver Stone's version of Mission Impossible, and it is insane. So we talk about it. This is an episode that would have had Tom Cruise going into a sort of virtual reality for about 40% of the movie. There was an evil artificial intelligence that was the bad guy. Yeah, lots of stuff. Lots of really weird stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on my side of the fence, there's obviously the podcast that started it all, Disney Dish with Len Testa. We have the Marvel Us Disney podcast, which I do with the amazing Aaron Adams, Looking at Lucasfilm with Dan Z. We have Universal Joint with Dustin Fuse. And we have the brand new podcast, the I Want That, with Michelle Valladolid, which I'm going to be recording a new one of those this weekend.
And that's also great sort of therapy for you two, I feel like.
Alice would not agree, but, hey. All right. Anyway, like I said, Drew's got places to go, but we will be back after he gets back from Minnie's Moonlight Madness with a brand new fine-tuning next week or thereabouts. So until then, folks, on behalf of Mr. Taylor and myself, good night.
Be sure to tune in again for another fine episode of Fine Tuning with Jim Hill and Drew Taylor.